What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of J&D Sports Talk. Today I'm going to be giving you my NFL Week 5 reactions, and I'm also going to be, talking about some news going around in the NFL. I'm also going to talk about news going around in the NFL and other sports on TikTok too. So check that out at J&D Sports Talk, and also check out our Twitter at J&D Sports Talk. Without further ado, I'm going to give you my Week 5 NFL reactions and talk about some other things. Thank you for watching. All right, first game we're going to be reacting to is the overtime Thursday night football between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. I predicted the Bucks to win this one. I was wrong. My picks were really bad this week, okay? We don't talk about that. But my picks were not great this year. Atlanta Falcons take the win 36-30 in overtime. Kirk Cousins threw 509 yards. That is a lot. That's crazy. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, threw the ball 58 times, sacked 4 times, quarterback rating of 114. And then Drake London had a good game, 12 catches, 154 yards, and a touchdown. Darnell Mooney also had a good game, 9 catches, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts at 88 yards. Kadero Hodge scored the game-winning touchdown. A lot of offense for the Falcons that game, and Tampa Bay too. Jesse Bates led the team in tackles, and Younghoe Koo was 3 for 5 on field goals. 70,016 people in attendance. And for the Bucks, Baker Mayfield, he went 19 for 24, 180 yards and 3 touchdowns, 137 passer rating. Rachaad White had a pretty good day on the ground, as well as Bucky Irving. And Chris Godwin, Mike Evans led the team in receiving. Mike Evans had 2 touchdowns. And Sterling Shepard, the former Giant, had a touchdown. And Tyke Smith led Tampa Bay in tackles. And Levante David had an interception on Kirk Cousins in the fourth quarter. Chase McLaughlin went 3 for 3 on field goals. It was a pretty good game. I don't like watching my 2 division rivals play on primetime. I watch any football game. But it was a good game. Definitely was a good game. I did not expect it to go to overtime or nothing like that, but it was definitely a good game. And a lot of scoring, but the coolest thing from this game is Kirk Cousins throwing over 500 yards. I mean, that rarely happens, but it happened then. Next game we're going to go on to is Panthers and Bears. Not a good game for the Panthers. We're 1-4 right now. Not a good start to the season. We didn't play good. We had a good run game going, but we got down pretty quick due to poor tackling and just not a good defense. But I will say this. I'm not making excuses or none of that. But the Carolina Panthers have a lot of players hurt. We are the most injured team in the league right now. So from your guys' perspective, a team that just went 2-15, who has the worst depth on paper. So from your guys' perspective, we had the worst backups on paper, right? And we are the most injured team right now. So those backups are playing in the game a lot. Most of the players that were on defense last Sunday for the Panthers weren't even really on an NFL roster a few months ago. A lot of injuries. I can go through some of them quick. Offensive side of the ball, Adam Thielen's out for a few weeks with a hamstring injury. Tight end, Tommy Tremble is in concussion protocol. Ian Thomas is hurt for a little bit. And this game, unfortunately, we lost Austin Corbett, our starting center, with a torn biceps. He's out for the year. And Taylor Moton's going to break his streak of 180-something games with I think it was an elbow injury. Um, but he's going to be out for a game or two, maybe a little bit more. Hopefully not. Um, but the defensive side of the ball is where the worst part of our injuries were. I'll just go through a few. Derek Brown out for the season with a torn meniscus. Shaq Thompson out for the season with a torn Achilles. Jose Jewell is going to be out for a little bit. Jadeveon Clowney got hurt last Sunday, and we already had Dane Jackson out for a bit at corner. So the Panthers don't have a lot of players healthy. That's just, naming a few injuries. There's a lot. It's unfortunate. There's a lot. There's a lot with the injuries with the Panthers right now. That's especially holding our defense back. But Andy Dalton didn't have a great game. 18 for 28, 136 yards with a pick. Pick wasn't his fault. Should have been pass interference. 61 passer rating. Bryce Young came in at the end for a drive, went 4 for 7, 58 yards. 84 passer rating. That was a pretty good drive by him. And I just want to say this real quick. I know Dave Canales is taking a lot of heat for saying, oh, part of the reason we put Bryce out there was because Andy, we wanted to protect Andy. A lot of coaches say that. They're not throwing Bryce away. It's none of that. A lot of coaches say that. I remember Andy Reid saying, oh, we weren't winning or none of that. We took Mahomes out, make sure he stays healthy. There's nothing wrong with it. You're saying you don't want your starting quarterback to get hurt, so you're taking him out. That's not saying, oh, game's done, just throw the backup out there. Who cares if he gets hurt? That's not what anyone's saying. That's what people act like. Coaches are just saying, starting quarterback, if the game's done, take him out. No need to take extra risk. So now that I explained that to the casual fans. Chuba Hubbard had a good day, 13 carries, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Touchdown was on the Panthers' second drive. That was beautiful blocking, by the way. 38-yard rushing touchdown. Chuba Hubbard's longest rushing touchdown of his career. So far, obviously. But Jalen Coker, that was a name I told you guys to watch out for if he got back on the active roster. 4 catches, 68 yards, 31-yard catch. And Jonathan Mingo did all right. But other than that, the receiving wasn't that great. Just wasn't a good day for this Panthers team. I will shout out Trevin Wallace for most plays. He led the team in tackles with 15, the 6th-round rookie out of Kentucky. It's a really good job by him. But not a good game for the Panthers. 59,307 in attendance. Not a good game for the Panthers. We'll hopefully have better tackling and more people healthy next week. And I'm not talking about the Bears. Fuck the Bears. Fuck their fans. Panthers will bounce back. Keep pounding. All right, moving on. We got the game that got Robert Saleh fired. Vikings beat the Jets in London 23-17. Although the score should have been better, honestly. The Vikings need, they're 5-0, but they need to close out games. That's a thing for them. They need to close them out. Jets sucked, even though the game was close. It wasn't close. Vikings kind of let them play with their food a little bit. Jets did not have a good game at all. Aaron Rodgers did terrible. 29 for 54, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, including a pick 6 to Andrew Van Ginkel, an overthrow, and just not good ball placement on the last one. 54 passer rating. No running game for the Jets. Absolutely none. Breece Hall had 9 carries, 23 yards. Braylon Allen had 5 carries, 13 yards. And Garrett Wilson had a pretty good game. 13 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown. Tyler Conklin had 6 catches, 55 yards. That's a pretty good game. Allen Lazard had a touchdown, but not a good game for the Jets at all. Rodgers fumbled too. It was not a good game for them. Jamien Sherwood led the team in tackles with 12. And their kicker, Greg Zerline, went 1-for-1 in field goals. 61,139 in attendance in London. Now going to the winner's side. Sam Darnold, 14 for 31, 179 yards and a pick. He didn't have a great game, 50 passer rating. He did all right in the beginning, but he didn't have a good game. He was under a lot of pressure, though. 4 sacks. What I tell you, the line for both teams in this game wasn't very good. I will say that. But Vikings didn't really have a run game either. It sucks that Aaron Jones got hurt early. It was a good game, though. Pretty one-sided most of the time. Justin Jefferson had a good day, 92 yards. But yeah, I mean, the Vikings pretty much dominated. Andrew Van Ginkel, like I said, with the pick six, 63-yard pick six. Stephon Gilmore and Cameron Bynum with the interceptions. Good game for the Vikings. Terrible game for the Jets. Like I said on TikTok, you guys should go check that out. I'll also say it here. I feel like I don't know what to think about this Jets firing Robert Saleh. I think I knew he was going to get fired eventually, but I just didn't think after 5 games. 2-3, but they haven't been playing to how they're supposed to, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Woody Johnson, a.k.a. Aaron Rodgers, said they weren't playing to expectations and fired Robert Saleh. Didn't let him say goodbye to anybody, just escorted him right out. Very poverty thing to do by the Jets, just not even let him say goodbye to anybody. But we're going to have to see what the Jets do without Saleh, and in my opinion, that team chemistry is terrible. I feel like it's just not great, that team chemistry. But we'll see how the Jets do without Robert Saleh. All right, next game we're going on to is the Baltimore Ravens going to Cincinnati and getting a tight win. I predicted Cincy was going to get this upset. I was wrong, but I was close to being right. Cincy had a pretty good lead at some point. Fireworks in the fourth and second quarter. This was another game that went to overtime this week. Bengals had a good chance in overtime, but they dropped the field goal snap, and then Derrick Henry had a 51-yard run, I think it was, to get the Ravens in field goal territory, and Justin Tucker then drilled the game winner. The game score was 41-38. Lamar Jackson went 26 for 42, 348 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Very good game by Lamar. Passer rating of 120. Well, actually 119.9, but that's 120. Derrick Henry, he had 15 carries, 92 yards, average 6 yards a carry. Lamar had a good game on the ground, too. Zay Flowers had over 100 yards, 7 catches, 111 yards, 26-yard reception. And Charlie Kohler had a touchdown. Rashad Bateman had a touchdown. And Isaiah Likely had 2 touchdowns. Roquan Smith led the team in tackles with 14. No surprise there. Marlon Humphrey had an interception. So this is the Ravens. This is the Ravens team, This is their team right here. This is how they play when they're at their best. 66,341 in attendance at Paycor Stadium. Justin Tucker went 2 for 2. And I just want to clear this up. I said this before on the podcast. Joe Burrow is 0% the reason why the Bengals are losing, okay? Joe Burrow thrown 30 for 39, 392 yards, 5 touchdowns with only 1 interception. 5 touchdowns, and he still freaking lost. That's just insane. 137 passer rating. He played better than Lamar and still lost. Lamar had 4 touchdowns. The Bengals have no defense. That's the problem. Chase Brown didn't have a good game on the ground. Jamar Chase had a really good game, 10 catches, 193 yards, and 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins also had a good game with 2 touchdowns. Chase Brown had a receiving touchdown. Jamar Chase had a 70-yard touchdown. That one was on like a screen, so that was pretty cool. Sam Hubbard led the Bengals in tackles, and as long as Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson. Evan McPherson was 0 for 1 on field goals. That was a 1 in overtime. But like I said, dude, Burrow threw for almost 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and still lost. That is 0% his problem. All right, next game is the Indianapolis Colts going to Jacksonville in a shootout, losing by 3, 37-34. I predicted this game wrong. I thought the Colts would get the job done, but Jaguars had a really good game. Joe Flacco is like 42 years old, something like that, and he's still slinging it. Let me actually see how old he is. Let me look at. He is 39. I knew he was around 40. But anyway, 33 for 44, 359 yards, and 3 touchdowns for Joe Flacco. 121 passer rating. Adonai Mitchell threw a pass for 24 yards. Trey Sermon didn't have a great game on the ground. He did have a touchdown. And Alec Pierce had a really good game. Only 3 catches, but 134 yards and a touchdown. 44.7 average. Josh Downs had 6 catches, 70 yards. 9 catches, excuse me. Donnie Mitchell had a good game. Wiley Cox had a touchdown. Michael Pittman had a touchdown. And for the Colts defense, Zaire Franklin led the team in tackles. And Matt Gay was 2 for 2 on field goals. Fun fact, 60,214 at Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida. Speaking of Florida, we hope that everyone dealing with the Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton is okay and safe. We are praying for you guys. Going to Jacksonville's side, Trevor Lawrence went 28 for 34, 371 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Decent. He wasn't bad. That's a pretty good game. 79 passer. Oh, wrong thing. 119 passer rating. He had a pretty good game. Despite the pick, but he completed most of his passes, a lot of yards, and multiple touchdowns. Tank Bigsby might be coming for Travis Etienne's job. 13 carries, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. Travis Etienne didn't have a great game on the ground. Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie, he's been balling out. 5 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown. Christian Kirk, 4 catches, 88 yards. And Antonio Johnson led the Jaguars in tackles with 11. Good game by the Jags. You know, the first 4 games of the season, they looked really bad. They get the job done here. And basically for the Colts, they should have won this game. 39-year-old Joe Flacco can still sling it. Moving on here, we got probably the most boring game of Sunday. Dolphins at Patriots. We're not going to talk about this game much because there's not much to talk about. Both teams just made a lot of mistakes. Tyler Huntley went 18 for 31, 194 yards with a pick. A lot of pressure towards him. Sacked 3 times. Quarterback rating, passer rating 63. Jalen Wright had an alright game on the ground. 13 carries, 86 yards. Mostert had a not great game. Say with A-Chain, they didn't really give him the ball. Tyreek Hill had 6 catches, 69 yards. He was their leading receiver. A lot of fumbles for Miami. Marcus May, the safety, led the team in tackles. And Jason Sanders was 3 for 4 on field goals. 64,628 people in attendance at Gillette Stadium for this AFC East showdown. We are going to drop a video later this week, of a tier list on the channel. I'm going to be pulling up an NFL tier list where each team stands. So tier list videos. Those are going to be very fun to film. Meanwhile, for the Patriots side, not much to talk about. Well, Drake May is starting next week against Houston, so that will be interesting. I'm pretty sure they're 1 o'clock games, so I'll be watching that closely. Jacoby Brissett, 18 for 34, 160 yards, sacked a few times, 65 passer rating. Did each quarterback have the same passer? Nearly. Jacoby Brissett had a passer rating by 2 over Huntley. I mean, Jacoby Brissett is bad, but it's not like anyone around him is good. Stevenson is like the only bright spot on this football team. Bill Belichick's drafting is why their receiving room is so dog shit right now. But let's see if I think Bill Belichick should have a job, though. Not a head coach job, not a GM job anymore. I think he should be like a team advisor, maybe even an offensive coordinator, something like that. Anyway, Rhamondre Stevenson, 12 carries, 89 yards, and a touchdown. He had a pretty good game on the ground. Probably should have gave him the ball more now that I see it. But it is what it is. You're not going to win when you're throwing the ball 34 times with a team like this. Jacoby Brissett got sacked twice. Demario Douglas was New England's leading receiver. Del Pettis was New England's leading tackler with 9, as long as Daniel Ekuly. I looked closer because I didn't know how to say the name. Sorry if I said him wrong. Christian Gonzalez, top 3 corner in the NFL, got a pick. And Joey Sly, I don't like him, went 1 for 2 on field goals. Not a good game for either team. Miami just got the win. They just really takeaways. Miami got more points than the other team. It's really all you could say about this game. The Browns and the Commanders. Browns, right now, in my opinion, are the worst team in the NFL. Not on paper, that's for sure. Not on paper. But right now, they are the worst team in the NFL. They lose 34-13. Deshaun Watson is acting like a little bitch. He is. He's not a good quarterback. He's a terrible, awful person. And even if he's changed, whatever, but he's just not good. Shouldn't be in the NFL anymore. And Cleveland should consider making a quarterback change. But Deshaun Watson went 15 for 28, 125 yards and a touchdown. He was sacked 7 times. Wow. Every week Deshaun Watson got sacked a lot, like 5+ times, okay? And, bad line, but that has to be a hint that the line doesn't like him. Why would they want to block for him? 77 passer rating, nothing going on the ground for Cleveland. Excuse me. Amari Cooper, who needs to be traded to another team, had 4 catches, 60 yards. Jordan Akins had a touchdown. And that's really it. That was a touchdown. Devin Bush led the team in tackles with 10. JOK had an interception. And Dustin Hopkins went 2 for 2 on field goals. 59,030 people in attendance. Now, for the Commanders side, they played really good. Let's see here. Jaden Daniels went 14 for 25, 238 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Sacked a few times, 85 passer rating. Jaden Daniels was really good on the ground, too. Austin Eckler had 6 carries, 67 yards. He had a good game on the ground. Terry McLaurin led the team in receiving, 4 catches, 112 yards. Dyami Brown with a touchdown. Commanders did have a couple fumbles. Frankie Luvu, I miss him on my team, led the team in tackles with 7. And Austin Seibert was 2 for 2 on field goals. Like I said, though, Browns, I had a lot of good things to say of them before the season, but I said Watson's going to hold them back, and it looks like he is. But I will say their line has been terrible. But I think part of that, injuries, and they just don't want to block for him. I don't know. But like I said, not a good start to the season for the Browns. Commanders are 4-1. Very good start for them, and we're going to have to see if they keep rolling. We're going to go to the next game, Bills and Texans. This one was eventful in different ways. Kamari Fairbairn hit a 59-yard field goal to get the win. Josh Allen hit his head very hard on the turf. He probably shouldn't have been playing after that, but Josh Allen went 9 for 30, 131 yards and a touchdown, 56 passer rating. James Cook had 20 carries, 80-plus yards and a touchdown. Keon Coleman had one catch, but it was a touchdown, 49 yards. And on the defense, Dorian Williams led the team in tackles. Terrell Bernard had an interception for Buffalo, and Tyler Bass went 2 for 2 on field goals. 71,427 in attendance at NRG Stadium. I didn't watch this game because, obviously the Panthers were playing at 1, but Bills did not have a good game, it seems like, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. And I didn't like their coaching at the end, throwing that much towards your own end zone, not chewing the clock out. That could be blamed on Sean McDermott. And I don't think Josh Allen should have played after hitting his head as hard as he did. Going to Houston's side, C.J. Stroud, 28 for 38, 331 yards and a touchdown with a pick, 97 passer rating. Cam Akers, 9 carries, 42 yards and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs led Houston in receiving. Revenge game. 6 catches, 82 yards, and Nico Collins found the end zone. Nico Collins got placed on the IR. I hope, he recovers. He's going to miss at least 4 games. That's good. That's an uppercut to this Houston's offense. Leading Houston's defense was Azeez Al-Shir in tackles, along runner-up Derek Stingley Jr., and Kamari Fairbairn was 3 for 3 on field goals, hitting a 59-game winner at the end. I didn't watch this game. Like I said, the Panthers were playing at 1, but Bills' offense wasn't there. And Houston, we're off to a good start, but they got to close it out and, keep the gas on the pedal. But I think both of these teams are going to have a good season, and it was just a good battle. All right, moving on, we got the Las Vegas Raiders going to Denver and getting their butt whooped. Patrick Surtain had 2 interceptions. Broncos beat the Raiders, snapping their 8-game losing streak against them. Last episode, I think I might have jinxed the Raiders. I said, now that I'm reading this, or something like that the Raiders beat the Broncos 8 straight times. I picked them, and they lost. They got whooped. Raiders, Aiden O'Connell is starting now, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, right? Did they announce him as starter? Did they? I don't know. But they benched Minshew this game. Minshew was 12 for 17, 137 yards, touchdown and 2 picks. Rating of 74. Aiden O'Connell went out there and did worse. 10 for 20, 94 yards with a pick. 42 passer rating. Vegas should have got Russell Wilson when they had the opportunity. Amir Abdullah found the end zone. Madison with a terrible game. Brock Bowers led the team in receiving, 8 catches, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Even though, the Raiders' offense has been poop, Brock Bowers has been having a good season. Jacoby Myers, 6 catches, 72 yards. Devontae Adams, nowhere to be found. He wants to go to a team that their quarterback is not looking for burgers, they're looking for wins. Robert Spleen led the team in tackles with 10. And Daniel Carlson was 1 for 1 on field goals. 72,825 in attendance at Empower Field at Mile High. Going to Denver's side, 19 for 27, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 117 passer rating for Bo Nix, the rookie out of Oregon. Javonte Williams did good on the ground, and Javonte Williams also led the team in receiving. And Justin Strnad, I don't know how to say it, Strnad. Justin Strnad led the team in tackles with 9. Patrick Surtain with 2 picks, 100 return yards, and a touchdown. That was like a 100-yard pick six, I'm pretty sure. Good play by Patrick Surtain. Like I said, Raiders' offense was poop. Defense wasn't great either. Denver had a really good game. Bo Nix had a really good game. And, both teams probably aren't going anywhere this season. But just because the Broncos have a winning record doesn't mean they're going to do anything. Moving on to the Cardinals and the Niners. I wanted to say this was going to be I don't get the Cardinals, man. I don't get them. They get their butt whooped to the Commanders last week, and then they come out here and beat San Fran at San Fran. I don't care what you tell me. This Niners team is not the Niners. They put up 0 points in the second half, and they're not the Niners. They're not the NFC champions right now. I don't know if that's going to change, but right now, they are not the NFC champions. Kyler Murray had a really good game. 19 for 30, 195 yards, a touchdown and a pick, 79 pass rating, but he did better, than the box score shows. James Conner had a good game on the ground, 19 carries, 86 yards. Kyler Murray also ran one in. That was a pretty good run, 50-yard touchdown. Michael Wilson led Arizona in receiving. And Budda Baker led Arizona in tackles with 12. Kyzir White and Mack Wilson had 2 pick for Arizona, and Chad Ryland went 3 for 4 on field goals. 71,310 people in attendance at Levi Stadium. Brock Purdy played terrible. I don't care. I've seen a lot of this game. I watched Red Zone for the 4 o'clock games. As usual, Brock Purdy played terrible from what I've seen. 19 for 35, 244 yards, touchdown and 2 picks, 62 passer rating. Jordan Mason had a good game, 14 carries, 89 yards. Brandon Ayuk had 8 receptions, 147 yards. George Kittle found the end zone. I don't get the Niners, man. Fred Warner led the team with 12 tackles. Nick Bosa had a 30-yard interception. And Jake Moody went 1 for 1 on field goals before Mitch Winowski came in and kicked a field goal due to injury. Niners, like I said, they're not playing good. They're not playing good at all. They're 2-3, but they're not playing good. They're not playing like the NFC champions. And the Cardinals are just going to be one of those teams that will get blown out one week, and the next week they'll go beat a top team. Don't know if the Niners are playing like that right now, but on paper they're a top team. Let's see if they'll get it together and see if the Cardinals keep going. They're, like I said, they're inconsistent. Next up, we got Green Bay and LA, 24-19 score. A lot of games were very close this week, like 10 points or less. A lot of them came down to the final 2 minutes, which you gotta love. Let me just say this. This was like one of the best weekends in sports in a while. I don't know, like a lot of good college games. A lot of teams got upsetted. Syracuse pulled off an upset. Vanderbilt pulled off an upset. Minnesota pulled off an upset. And then in the NFL, a lot of close games and a lot of overtime games. Really good weekend. And playoff baseball. Dodgers, I know I haven't talked about them yet much on the channel, but they are 1-1 with the Padres as I'm recording this. No, they're down 1-2. Damn it. I'm hoping we come back, man. And also the Florida Panthers, haven't talked about them much yet either, but we definitely will. They are off to a 1-0 start on a 6-4 win over the Boston Bruins. good game. You can't stop Florida Sam's. Back like we haven't stopped playing hockey. That's another conversation. Anyway, Green Bay, Jordan Love went 15 for 26, 2 touchdowns, 224 yards, and an interception, 95.7 passer rating. Josh Jacobs was good on the ground. Tucker Kraft with 2 touchdowns. There's the camera. He led Green Bay's receiving. Jaden Reed had a good game too. Evan Williams led Green Bay's defense in tackling with 10. And Braden Naverson went 1 for 1 on field goals. 72,842 at SoFi Stadium. Pretty good game for the Packers. Meanwhile, for the Rams, 29 for 45, 260 yards, a touchdown and interception, 78 passer rating. Kyren Williams had a really good game, 22 carries, 102 yards, and a touchdown. Blake Corum got some carries, 5 carries, 25 yards. And I kind of feel bad for Stafford, bro. He's not throwing to anyone really good. Tutu Atwell is explosive, but, I mean, like, without Puka and Cooper, there's nothing really there for Stafford. I feel bad. You know what they need to do? Someone needs to sign Hunter Renfrow. He can still play. He's underrated. He's very good in the slot. He's physical. He's good. Someone needs to sign him. But Jordan Whittington led Los Angeles in receiving. And Cameron Curl, the safety, former Commander, led Los Angeles in tackling. Jalen McLaughlin got an interception, a pick six, 4-yard pick six. And Joshua Carty didn't kick a field goal. It seemed like a good game for both teams. They didn't show this game much on red zone till the end. But, you know, Rams are 1-4. Thought they'd be a little better than that, but they've been dealing with a lot of injuries. Hopefully, you know, their offense could be more productive when Cooper and Puka comes back. Meanwhile, for the Packers, they played a pretty good game. All right, moving on. We got one of the biggest upsets of the week. We got the Giants going to Lumen Field and beating Seattle. I don't know if I said on my last episode that there's no chance of this happening without Malik Neighbors, but it did. Isaiah Simmons with a really good field goal block at the end. But that's, you know, that's kind of how the Giants won. Seattle was trying to kick a field goal to send it to overtime, or it would have won, I think, send it to overtime. But Isaiah Simmons timed it up and blocked it and took it the other way. For Giants, Daniel Jones went 23 for 34, 257 yards, 2 touchdowns, 109 passer rating. He had a pretty good game, not gonna lie. Tyrone Tracy Jr., 18 carries, 129 yards. What a game. Darius Slayton led the team in receiving, 8 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown. Besides that, there wasn't much. Wan'Dale Robinson found the end zone. And Tyler Nubin led the team in tackles with 9. Greg Joseph was 3 for 3 on field goals. And a fun fact, 68,306 people in attendance at Lumen Field. Geno Smith went 28 for 40, 284 yards, and a touchdown, 98 passer rating. And Geno Smith was also their leading rusher. That's crazy. Tyler Lockett had some good plays. Jackson Smith-Njigba had a touchdown. And Jerome Baker led the team in tackles with 14. And also Jason Myers was 2 for 3 on field goals. You know, not a good game for Seattle. They're probably frauds, you know. I feel bad, kind of, though. Not really, but they have a lot of, you know. You got to give them some slack, kind of feel bad, because they have a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. And their offense has been playing decent, but they have a lot of injuries, and they just don't really have any answers on the defensive side of the ball. Meanwhile, for the Giants, they had a good game, especially without their number one offensive player, Malik Nabers. So, Giants are probably going to be one of those teams they're probably a really bad team, but one week they're going to go out and do this. The next week they'll look like they don't belong in the NFL. But we'll have to see what happens with these two teams next week, and this seemed like a pretty good game. All right, moving on to the primetime games. Last two games of the week. We got Dallas going to Pittsburgh and getting the win. This game didn't end till 1 Eastern time. But Dak Prescott is the first quarterback to throw 2 touchdowns in 2 different days in the same game. Impressive. But anyway, good game by Dak. 29 for 42, 352 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. 90 passer rating. Rico Dowdle. I still don't know how to say his name. Rico Doodle. That's what I'm going to say. 20 carries, 87 yards. And Jalen Tolbert had a good game, including the game-winning catch. Pretty much 7 catches, 87 yards, and a touchdown. Jake Ferguson also had a good game. Same with CeeDee Lamb. Eric Kendricks had 10 tackles, leading Dallas. Brandon Aubrey was 2 for 3 on field goals. This was a pretty good game. I'm glad the Cowboys won. I predicted that right. One of the only games I predicted right this week. But I'm going to do a lot better from now on. For the rest of the season, I am barely getting any games wrong. Mark my words. But for Pittsburgh, Justin Fields, 15 for 27, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns with a passer rating of 93. Najee Harris didn't have a good day on the ground at all. Najee Harris was their leading receiver. Connor Hayward had a touchdown, and Mika Fitzpatrick led the team in tackles with 10. Joey Porter with an interception, and Dante Jackson, the former Carolina Panther, with a pick. Chris Boswell went 1 for 3 with a 41-yarder on field goals. 67,380 at a Cruiser Stadium. This was a good game. Didn't end till 1 p.m. Eastern, but it was a good game. Good Sunday night football game. Almost went to overtime, but I'm glad the Cowboys got the win. Last game of the week with the Saints and the Chiefs. Chiefs got the job done 26-13. Derek Carr got an injury. Spencer Rattler to start for the time being. Probably a couple games. Derek Carr didn't have a great game. His pick was really bad. 18 for 28, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. 89 passer rating. Alvin Kamara wasn't that good on the ground. Rashid Shaheed led the team in receiving with a touchdown. Demario Davis led the team in tackles with 11. And Blake Grupe didn't kick any field goals. 73,592 at Arrowhead Stadium. Patrick Mahomes, Chiefs quarterback, if you don't know who that is. 28 for 39, 331 yards and a pick. With a 86 passer rating. Kareem Hunt led the team in rushing, 27 carries, 102 yards and a touchdown. Juju Smith-Schuster had 7 catches, 130 yards, leading the team in receiving. Travis Kelce had a pretty good game. And Nick Bolton led the Chiefs in tackling with 11. And Harrison Butker went 4 for 5 on field goals. So a lot of field goals for the Chiefs. This was an alright game. Not the greatest Monday night game. I don't think the Saints should keep going on Monday Night Football. But the Saints have 3 straight losses. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, the reigning Super Bowl contenders, are 5-0. Alright, guys, it's going to wrap it up for NFL Week 5 reactions. If you enjoyed, please let us know. Like the video, subscribe, and check out our TikTok and Twitter at J&D Sports Talk. Let us know what you want to see in the future. And I will see you guys in the next episode.